We acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been the site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in indigenous history. This land is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and the water in order that we might meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together we may care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I'm John Wanless, Chairman of the PAC Committee. We'll start off by taking attendance. Jay Brennan.
Present.
Stephen Robinson.
Present.
Yvonne Robert.
Present.
Jacqueline Grimes.
Present.
I guess Stephen's not here either, is he?
No.
Okay. We'll move to item number 2 on our agenda, approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion, please? Moved by Stephen, seconded by Jay. All in favor? Carried. Item number 3, adoption of minutes, Planning Advisory Committee meeting, October 17th, 2024. Can I have a motion? Moved by Yvonne, seconded by Steve. All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of monetary interests. Item number 5, we'll move to the public meeting. I'll open the public meeting portion of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting to consider one minor variance application MV-24-06, 144 Beckwith Street North. This meeting is your opportunity to provide any feedback on these applications, and Planning Advisory Committee welcomes any questions and comments you may have. We encourage you to do so at the public meeting, as the Planning Act rules suggest that public's ability to voice opinions later in the process may be limited if a written or oral comment is not submitted. Town Council is the approval authority for applications for permission and makes a recommendation to Council on amendments on the zoning bylaw. The committee will review the applications and any comments and concerns from the public to inform their decision on recommendation to Council for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. I will now pass the meeting over to Richard Grant, Planner 1, to report on this minor variance application. Following this presentation, we will open the floor to comments from the public. The applicants or their agent in attendance will also have an opportunity to address any concerns brought to the floor by the public. Richard.
Okay, thank you. So this is for MV-2406, 144 Beckwith Street North, and the applicant is Tomlin Grobach from IN Engineering, and the owner is Genevieve Roy. So here we have a key map of the subject area at 144 Beckwith Street North. The application. So the applicants are proposing to construct a 2.75 times 5.8 meter parallel parking stall in the required front yard of the subject property and partially of the municipal right-of-way. Right, the existing enclosed porch, which is 14.6 meters squared, will be replaced with a 2.4 meter landing to allow for access into the dwelling. The proposed parking stall will be placed directly underneath the habitable room window. If successful, additional municipal approval is required to permit a 1 meter encroachment into the right-of-way. So I'm not sure if you can see from here, but we see the diagram showing the proposed turning radius for the car going to the parking stall. If you can see the cross hatching, that's essentially the front yard that's going to be adjusted to accommodate for the proposed parking stall. And we can also see the boundaries of the lot that show you where the 9-meter easement is for the shared right-of-way. That's the driveway between the two homes. And then we see, it's not, well, it's really small here, but we can also see the 0.6 meter easement that's existing. And we can also see the proposed 4.28 meter landing that would be right beside the proposed parking stall on the drawing here. This is also a property survey from 2001. And here is the 1974 easement. This kind of shows you a little bit more clearly what we're looking at. On one side, we have the easement that's in the front of the property, and that allows for the existing veranda to encroach 0.6 meters into the municipal right-of-way. And then we also have shared driveway access that shows you the 0.9 meter right-of-way that the property owner enjoys right now. So there are two easements on the property, basically. One on the front of the property and one on for the interior side yard for the right-of-way. Now, the applicant submitted a complete application in November. The application is trying to address a long-standing issue of inadequate parking access on the subject property. There, as we've discussed before, there is an existing easement from 1974 that allows for the existing veranda to encroach 0.6 meters into the municipal right-of-way, and that includes the sidewalk as well as the landscaped area. There's another easement on the property that allows for a 0.9 meter right-of-way access between the next door neighbor, along with shared access for the driveway. Now, the existing driveway is 2.4 meters, which is less than what would be required for a driveway with municipal standards, because municipal standards require the driveway to be at least 3 meters in width, and the existing driveway is 2.4 meters. The proposed parking stall dimensions are 2.75 times 5.8, which would be appropriate for a mid-sized SUV. And just for a note, the average mid-sized SUV ranges from 4.5 to 4.7 in length, just allowing you to show just how the space is, just how long the space is. Here we have some pictures that kind of give a bit of indication as to what the subject property looks like, as well as just the width of the existing driveway, just to show you the existing site constraints that the applicant is working with right now. Then we have just another view on Beckwith Street going on this northbound that shows you just what it would be to be adjacent to the property on the street. So in terms of public and agency consultation, we did not receive any written or oral public feedback. We only received feedback from the Public Works Department and the Chief Building Official. The Public Works Department does object to this proposal. They do not recommend the approval of the proposed parking stall due to the potential to obstruct access to the sidewalk and the municipal right-of-way, and for safety concerns for drivers and pedestrians. The Chief Building Official does not object to this proposal and has no comments at this time. Now, as part of any minor variance application, there will be 4 tests that the proposal will have to meet to be granted a variance by the committee. Now, in staff's opinion, the application does not conform to the general intent of the official plan for the following reasons. The proposed configuration is considered to detract from the established neighborhood fabric and contributes to an inconsistent streetscape. So right now, this proposal is the first of its kind for along Beckwith Street. So in terms of it conforming to the established streetscape and neighborhood fabric, this would be the first one. So it would be the first one that would be sort of a first one of the pattern that doesn't conform. And the proposed configuration allows for an incomplete street by reducing access to municipal right-of-way and potentially impeding pedestrian mobility along the street. So we're considering it as something that would encourage the street to not be entirely functional, and it wouldn't be something that would be consistent with the streetscape that's already there. For test number 2, staff's opinion that the application does not conform to the general intent of the comprehensive zoning bylaw. The proposed dimensions, 5.8 times 2.7, does not allow for sufficient maneuvering to enter the parking stall and potentially allows for further encroaching onto the municipal right-of-way, which would end up ruining the landscaped area. So in essence, staff's opinion is that getting into the parking stall with the proposed parking dimensions, it would allow for the car to fit into the parking stall, but getting into the parking stall, driving into it, would allow for further encroachment because you're asking for just a small encroachment into the municipal right-of-way. But even though one has permission to encroach, over time, what could potentially happen is that the repeated use of the driveway would end up ruining the rest of the landscaped area that they're not allowed to encroach onto. And the proposed dimensions only work for a small to medium-sized car, but it does not necessarily allow for anything larger than what is proposed. So we're thinking that the size dimensions are only sufficient just to allow for the car to sit onto the parking stall, but not to effectively enter safely and allow for other types of vehicles of a different size to fit onto that parking stall. Also, we think that the proposed configuration has a potential to create noise and vibration and also a potential glare from any car using the parking stall. In a sense, when you put the parking stall in front of the house on the front yard, the noise and vibration from using the car every day would be of a greater impact because it's closer to the house. And also based on its configuration and its orientation, the lights would be shining to the next door neighbor, so that could potentially be an issue that would affect the functionality of the parking stall. And as well, as I said before, it kind of breaks up the streetscape in terms of how it looks, because instead of having a typical front yard, we'd have a car in the front yard. So it sort of like breaks up the established neighborhood fabric. For test number 3, we don't consider it desirable either because, as we said earlier, it reduces the front yard setback, the front yard space to a 2.4 meter landing, just allowing for potential access to be rather reduced in the functionality for the front yard. And as we said before, there could be a potential for safety issues due to reduced access to the sidewalk, impeding municipal snow clearing operations on that sidewalk, and for the increased noise and vibration and potential car exhaust based on the location of the proposed parking stall. For test number 4, we consider the application not minor in nature and impact because of the 1 meter encroachment reduces the buffer between the municipal right-of-way and the subject property, making an inconsistent streetscape, and the frequent use may reduce the landscaped area on the municipal right-of-way due to damage. The proposed configuration restricts pedestrian access to the sidewalk and has an ability to reduce on-site capacity for snow storage and also with a reduced front yard. With the requested 0 meter setback from the habitable room window, there's a potential for the noise, vibration, and to create additional nuisances and encourages the inhalation of car exhaust fumes because the proposed parking stall would allow any vehicle to be roughly 0.2 meters underneath the window. So it'd be sitting right underneath the window of the existing home. So the noise, vibration, the car exhaust that would normally happen if you're sitting in the parking in the driveway would just be much closer to the residential dwelling. So that's another concern if we're going to have this as a long-standing parking stall. Also, as we said before, the proposed configuration encourages car lights to shine into the window of the adjacent neighbor. So to accommodate any proposed screening, additional permission may be required for the encroachment. For example, if we're allowing the parking stall to be parked on the front yard in a parallel orientation, and we're requesting, say, screening to reduce the glare from the lights, we'd also need additional permission to encroach because whatever we're using to screen may be larger than what we are really allowing for encroachments. So we'll need additional permission just to encroach, just to make it that the screening reduces the glare. So it kind of accumulates all these minor changes that may result in something that's more major than minor. In summary, planning staff are of the opinion that the proposal does not present a reasonable construction that does not impact negatively the neighbors or vehicle traffic near this location. And as such, the committee is recommended to not approve the minor variance application as proposed.
Thanks, Richard. We will follow up with an opportunity for the public to speak to the question. All comments and questions need to be addressed through the chair. Please be advised that the verbal comments from part of the public record, and as such, we ask that you please state your name and address before providing verbal comment. Any members of the public who wish to speak to the application are asked to please approach the podium one at a time.
Through you, Mr. Chair, is it members of the public or the applicant?
Members of the public.
Hi, my name's Bill Peterson, and I live at 146 Beckwood Street North, next door to 144. I have a thing I'd just like to read. I have a few points to make in this proposed changes in MV 2406. To park in front of the home, as it is planned, U-turns would have to be done at the curb. Currently isn't shaped to allow that on either property. The parking in this area would have to be done very carefully so it doesn't block the town sidewalks or the right-of-way between the property to the north. As planned, this would allow a vehicle to hang out into the right-of-way as shown in the pictures attached in the report. This would block part of the right-of-way. Winters require snow removal, and with a car placed out front there would not be anywhere to put the snow that would need to be moved. Snow plow from the streets would block in the car and cover the town sidewalks. This would also change the face of the street, which was not allowed for the apartment buildings across the street. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, I'll now ask, is the owner here?
The applicant.
Applicant? Yes.
My name's Tomlin. I'm with In Engineering, and I'm the applicant of this. Submitted on behalf of the property owner to allow for the addition of a front yard parking space at 144 Beckwood Street. The request addresses the need for on-site parking due to the compact lot size and absence of a viable driveway, aiming to improve accessibility and convenience with minimal impact on the neighbor's visual character. The proposal includes replacing the existing front porch, which currently encroaches 0.6 meters into the town's right-of-way, with a 1.2 by 2 meter landing situated within the property boundary. The change will create a space for a 5.8 meter by 2.75 meter parallel parking space that will encroach 1 meter beyond the front property line for a total of 0.4 meters more than the existing porch, which is about 1.3 feet. We're requesting a variance to position the parking space within the front yard and adjacent to a habitable window, as there are no safer alternatives for the position of a vehicle on site. It's important to note that the existing front window's elevated sill height will still preserve light and visibility into the home. Additionally, we request a reduction in the typical parallel parking length requirement from 6.7 to 5.8 to maintain clear access to the home's front entrance without affecting the existing pathway to the front door, the sidewalk, or the easement that's located on the interior side yard. We feel the requested variance adjustments are minor, as the proposal will utilize existing curb cuts, ensuring that despite the slight encroachment beyond the property line, a minimum buffer of 1.7 meters is still maintained from the edge of the parking lot to the sidewalk. The buffer will continue to provide landscape opportunities, additional space for snow removal, and pedestrian safety. Regarding some of the major concerns that have been pointed, the proposal for on-site parallel parking space at Beckwith Street aims to provide a safe and practical parking solution for the resident without compromising the streetscape, aesthetic, sidewalk access, or roadway. The parking spot is designed to harmonize with the streetscape by minimizing the parallel parking format commonly seen on surrounding streets, yet placing on-site and closer to the home. The proposed parking stall isn't a permanent structure, similar to how the existing porch is, and any parked cars that will be parked there are temporary and will be moved periodically throughout the day, reducing its visibility during regular working hours and minimizing any aesthetic disruptions. Additional landscaping adjustments along the southern edge of the new landing shall ensure a smooth visual transition from the existing porch area, situating the vehicle within the footprint of the removed porch and maintaining consistency with current frontage. The proposed parking space maximum projection is 0.4 meters beyond the current porch, with the option for the vehicle to park closer to the house for added discretion, as the vehicle itself is not 2.7 meters in width. On Beckwith Street, it's common for vehicles to extend slightly beyond the home frontages due to the compact lot sizes, meaning the setup and streetscape will align with neighborhood norms. In terms of the pedestrian safety and access, the parking spaces design prioritizes pedestrian safety by ensuring that the parked vehicle does not encroach upon the sidewalk, preserving unobstructed pedestrian access. Like any driveway, vehicles will temporarily cross the sidewalk to access the space, a standard practice that does not compromise pedestrian safety. Allowing on-site parking will also relieve street congestion, reducing visibility issues for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. This street is a main access to Highway 15, which is utilized by many, and minimizing the number of vehicles parking at any point during the day for whatever length of time will enhance sightlines and pedestrian safety, contributing positively to traffic flow and overall street safety. There was a reference to policy TR-1.3 outlining the streetscape, where along Beckwith Street, it lacks the elements of street furniture, dense landscape, or an abundance of trees. Given these conditions, the proposed parking space will not significantly alter or detract from the essential components of what's deemed a complete street. Furthermore, the sidewalk will continue to function as is, as the plan utilizes existing curb cuts and paved areas, ensuring smooth and feasible access from either direction on the street. I do also want to point out, sorry, are we able to get the sketch up? Sorry. Thanks. The sketch that is provided shows the most extreme maneuvering situation to access the property to justify that even at the, coming from that direction and minimizing the minimal turning radius, that it's still accessible. In most circumstances, the residents will likely enter into the driveway from the north, making it much simpler to just kind of boop in and out. Yeah, so that was just for context to show that it is possible to do a big, quick U-turn, but obviously not ideal. In summary, the proposed on-site parallel parking space respects both the visual and functional characteristics of Beckwith Street, enhances safety by reducing street congestion, and thoughtfully integrates with the established streetscape aesthetic. We believe this solution offers a balanced approach to meeting resident parking needs while preserving neighborhood harmony. Now, when looking at the zoning bylaw provisions, I understand that it initially appears complex due to the number of requested adjustments. This proposal is fundamentally about legitimizing the existing layout and flow of the lot and surrounding properties. Our primary goal is to formalize this layout while providing a safe and functional on-site parking space. The requested reduction in setback to a habitable window is consistent with the character of nearby properties. As illustrated in the report, there was a photo of a white van parked between the two. Vehicles are often parked near or between properties in this area. For instance, the adjacent neighbor at 142 regularly uses the space next to the subject dwelling for parking. Both 142 and 144 have side windows overlooking this area where a 2-meter setback is currently not met, yet there have been no concerns from either party regarding noise, vibration, and exhaust. The proposed parking space would place a vehicle in front of the living room window at a height that maintains visibility and sunlight within the home without negatively impacting the surrounding neighboring properties. Also in regards to fumes, that may be a concern, but there really shouldn't be any idling for any reason on the lot aside from the winter months, and at that time all windows are closed. Also, with the only direction of the car coming in, the exhaust is pointing outwards and should not be aimed at any windows, regardless of how it's, if it is idling. And then in terms of the parking space adjustments from 6.7 to 5.8 meters may seem substantial, but the impact is minimal due to the single parallel space context. This request aligns with the average passenger vehicle size and allows sufficient maneuvering space as shown in the sketch. The standard 6.7 meter length is more relevant for public parking areas where multiple vehicles which range in size and shape need to navigate in tandem, and alignment must be maintained across multiple spaces. In this case, the space accommodates the residents' specific needs, and any future occupants of the home will have the flexibility to use the space as needed. Now, when it comes to the front yard parking, the property does not actually currently have front yard space due to the existing porch. It currently encroaches 0.6 meters past the property line. We are requesting a 0.4 additional space, but when doing so, we're taking out a permanent structure and placing in a graded surface. This opens and replacing the existing porch with a very small landing, so there is actual new room to add in a bit more landscaping and detailing to buffer the vehicle once it's in place. Additional porch screening connected to the porch and not requiring further encroachments can also be implemented if needed to mitigate any potential headlight impacts on neighboring properties. So that was kind of brought up where when the vehicle comes in, the headlights might be shining out, but they could implement a potential screening just that's attached onto the new landing, and it wouldn't affect anything, but it would block that house. And even if some shrubbery was added, I'm pointing at something you guys can't see, like along the walkway, that could assist in blocking any potential headlights. Now, regarding the snow removal, with the front porch removed, this opens up a bit more space, as I noted, that we can accommodate future landscaped areas and utilize for snow storage in the winter. To conclude on maneuvering and access, I recognize that the proposed vehicle path crosses municipal right-of-way landscaping as well, which may risk property damage if regularly used. However, I do feel with appropriate landscape solutions, such as durable pavers or permeable yet resilient surfaces, we can uphold property standards while ensuring safe and accessible on-site parking is maintained. In summary, the proposed front yard parking at 144 Beckwith Street provides a safe, functional, and visually compatible solution that is not out of the norm for this particular streetscape. While adequate access to parking may not be an enshrined right for every homeowner, the current and increasing reliance on vehicles makes this a reasonable compromise. It offers secure property access, increases lot value, and meets demand for on-site parking. The proposal addresses the property's limitations thoughtfully, aligns with the zoning bylaw and official plan, and includes landscaping setbacks and porch adjustments to enhance accessibility without compromising pedestrian safety or streetscape aesthetics. We strongly believe approval would legitimize a practical parking solution that maintains neighborhood harmony and supports sustainable residential development objectives. Thank you for my very long-winded comments.
Thank you. We'll now move on and ask committee members for any comments. Yvonne?
Thank you. I have a little bit of knowledge of that area. I grew up on that street, just a few houses
Hey,
down actually from the applicant's house. Um, when I received the notice, I did my site visit, and I came up with, before I saw the staff report, a number of concerns. Snow operations on that street have always been a challenge, whether it was before the reconfiguration of the street or even after. And I do recognize that the past few winters haven't been as heavy as what it has been in the past with snow. That's not a guarantee. It's extremely difficult coming out of any of those driveways to see in the winter with the snowbanks, the height of the snowbanks, especially right after a storm. Yes, the town does a great job. They come and they remove those snowbanks, but during that period of time, access is quite restricted and the view is quite restricted. So using that turning radius, there's going to have to be a lot of snow shoveling all along that frontage in order to get a vehicle into that. The other part I worry about is when snow operations are happening, whether it's by the snow plow or the street plow, what would be the liability the municipalities is assuming when the snow gets out of hand and ice, snow fly out and hit the vehicle that's sitting in that driveway? If it's permitted, then there's a possibility of that liability happening. The proposed turning radius also bothers me a little bit. Yes, that's an average vehicle. Maybe it's a little bit on the high end, but we can't guarantee that the next owner 5-10 years down the line is going to have the same size vehicle. It could be a lot bigger, and the turning radius may not work as well. And with that road being what it is, it's constant traffic on it. That could cause a little bit of an issue for the person trying to get in and out. Again, vehicle traffic is a bit of a iffy thing for me. This also would open the door for further requests for the exact same thing, and how do we justify it? Then I read the staff report and it brought up some of these things, but it reinforced basically my objection to this application, and it brought up other really good points. Just one thing that the proponent stated is that the parking would come from the north to access, that it wouldn't be that U-turn type of action. It's a one-way at Cornelia, so whoever's getting into it has to come towards the north, has to then turn around in somebody's driveway and come down. If it's going to come from the north, it can't do it. Anyway, I couldn't support this.
Anyone else? Okay,
Oh, yeah, I have the same feelings as my colleague, and you know, when we look at these things, I rely on staff because there's the 4 tests, and each one of them wasn't proven. There wasn't even one of them. It's not close. And the advice from Public Works as well sways me. So I'm going to agree with the staff report, and I won't support this.
Stephen?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm going to support staff recommendation as well. From what I've read and heard tonight, this variance to me is not a minor variance in nature, and it'll probably create safety concerns and operational challenges. This limited distance would significantly impact snow operations and could set a precedent for future requests in the area. So as a result, I won't be supporting it.
Jacqueline?
Yeah, I echo that too, just precedent setting. I know we look at each application individually with fresh eyes, but I can't help but think that there's a precedent being set with this if it were to be approved.
The committee is asked to making a decision on minor variance application. If the committee is ready to do so, I will now entertain a motion to approve, not approve, or any other decision.
I move that the application not be approved.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Steve. All in favor? Carried. Thank you for attending and participating in the planning process for MV 24-06. Anyone requiring further notice regarding this application is asked to leave their full name and mailing or email address on the sign in the sheet located at the table by the door. Appeal rights as prescribed by the Planning Act will be outlined in the recommendation to council and the notice of decision. If you have any question on this application or the process, I invite you to get in touch with our planner one or planning clerk. This concludes the planning meeting portion of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting. We will now move to the next item on our agenda.
So he's reading.
Item number 6, priority issues. We don't have any. Item number 7, project updates. We don't have any. Item number 8, Planning Advisory Committee meeting on Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Do I have a motion for adjournment? Moved by Steve. Carried.
Let me just get tech turned
Well, that
on.
first one was really good. Better. Yeah,
I'm just gonna notify tech that we're done.
I was talking to him. Yeah, he's really nice guy.
I have something I'm going to share with you here.
Just wait until I verify that tech's done. We'll just wait till the tech
Just go after
verifies